Before we cross into the unknown, leave a hello in the comments. Even the smallest signal can ripple across galaxies, guiding fellow wanderers to this tale. Let me know you're out there. A voice among the stars, listening with me beyond the veil. Engines roared as the flagship Indomitable cleared orbit, its hull gleaming like a blade against the void. Admiral Kael stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the holographic projection of the Betrayer Empire's core worlds. Decades in the shadows had honed humanity's vengeance into precision. The betrayal that had erased entire fleets, civilizations, and allies would not go unanswered. Every system that had turned against them would feel the cold edge of humanity's return. Kael's voice, calm yet deadly, cut through the bridge chatter. Today, we begin the reckoning. Below decks, weapons hums echoed like a heartbeat, synchronized with the fleet's maneuvers. Engineers monitored graviton torpedoes capable of collapsing planetary crusts, while AI strategists computed trajectories no alien mind could anticipate. Kael felt the weight of history, the lives lost to deceit, the stolen futures. Each command was a promise. None would be spared. Humanity's shadowed years had birthed weapons beyond imagination, and now, under Kael's unyielding gaze, betrayal would meet annihilation. The first system blinked into range, a jewel ripe for precision fire. The Betrayer world's communications grid fell silent seconds before the first strike. Kael observed the holographic feed, noting every response delay, every failed countermeasure. "Predictable," he muttered, his voice carried over comms. "Engage, Phase 1. The fleet's light-speed torpedoes tore through defensive satellites with surgical accuracy, leaving the planet's core exposed. Humanity's vengeance was not reckless. It was a scalpel, not a hammer. Civilians, soldiers, and corrupt leaders alike would face the consequences, but Kael felt no remorse, only the meticulous calm of inevitable justice. Alien fleets scrambled, reacting too late. Kael's lieutenants relayed movement patterns, each vessel neutralized before shields could even charge. Below deck, plasma cannons aligned, graviton mines armed, quantum missiles queued. Humanity had waited decades for this moment, and the betrayer's ignorance now fueled Kael's grim satisfaction. Every strike, every maneuver demonstrated an unsettling clarity. This was not war. It was orchestration. By the end of the cycle, the planet would be unrecognizable, a warning etched into the galaxy's memory. Surface cameras transmitted collapsing cities, molten rivers where oceans once lay. Kael's eyes were dry as he watched the destruction unfold. "Record everything," he commanded. The galaxy must remember why betrayal was deadly. Strategists calculated secondary shockwaves, ensuring that nothing survived to rebuild. Humanity's fury had been tempered by time, engineered into efficiency. He turned to his staff. "The first world has fallen. Do not mistake mercy for hesitation. We strike again." From orbit, the flagship's sensors scanned for surviving life forms. Autonomous hunter drones launched silently, their protocols unyielding. Kael walked along the bridge, observing every tactical map update, every intercepted transmission from panicked alien commanders. They had underestimated humanity's shadow years. Now they paid in planetary devastation. The Admiral's calm exterior masked a storm within, a hunger for justice, perfected by decades in exile. The fleet's rhythm was relentless, each ship a note in a symphony of annihilation. Reports came in of factions fleeing to neighboring systems, hoping to escape the inevitable. Kael's gaze hardened. "No system is safe," he said, fingers tracing projected star charts. "Every ally of the traitors will burn if they resist." In the darkened corridors of the bridge, officers exchanged uneasy glances. Humanity's return was no mere retaliation. It was a demonstration of precision, ruthlessness, and inescapable reach. Kael's voice remained steady, but every word was a promise. The galaxy would remember. The fleet split into multiple wings, executing orbital insertions and cloaked strikes. Quantum sensors mapped each planet's hidden armories. Civilian colonies were spared only if they surrendered. Leaders who had orchestrated betrayal were hunted relentlessly. Kael reviewed the holographic feeds of the collapsing defensive grids, noting the psychological terror inflicted by perfectly timed strikes. Each victory was swift, surgical, and total. Humanity's shadow had become a storm, and no betrayer could outrun it. Kael watched the data streams as entire planetary infrastructures disintegrated. He whispered the names of fallen comrades, a silent litany fueling the fleet's cold efficiency. "This is our due," he said, tone detached. Engineers monitored exotic weapon outputs, recalibrating them for maximum systemic collapse. The fleet's choreography was flawless. Each strike, each orbit, each countdown synchronized with relentless precision. Humanity's vengeance was no longer an echo. It was a wave, sweeping the galaxy clean of treachery. Alien countermeasures failed spectacularly, unable to comprehend the technological leaps humanity had engineered in exile. Kael's eyes lingered on the final planetary scan. Uninhabitable, but alive in memory. A lesson for all who might betray again. The Admiral's calm resolve masked an internal storm, a promise to the galaxy. No empire, no world, no life complicit in betrayal would escape. Across the void once more, carrying humanity's judgment deeper into enemy territory. The star lanes were alive with fleeing vessels, desperate signals bouncing from one betrayed world to another. Kael studied the projections, every maneuver anticipated, every escape route covered. "Cut off their exits," he ordered. Cloaked strike teams emerged from hyperspace, intercepting transports before they could reach safety. Humanity's vengeance was no longer reactionary. It was proactive, omnipresent. Every world that had pledged allegiance to the traitors felt the shadow of inevitability. Kael's voice resonated across the bridge. No one leaves unscathed. Quantum decoys scrambled enemy sensors, while plasma swarms tore through convoys with surgical precision. Kael's lieutenants updated kill ratios in real time, each confirming the fleet's efficiency. The betrayal that had once driven humanity into hiding was now a weapon in its own right. Each intercepted message, each destroyed fleet, reinforced the Admiral's truth. No empire could withstand calculated fury. As systems fell like dominoes, Kael's eyes scanned the stars for the next target. Precision and ruthlessness were no longer options. They were doctrine. The indomitable slipped into uncharted space, cloaked sensors mapping enemy strongholds. Kael moved among holographic displays, each pulse representing lives to be ended or spared. "Ghost Protocol active," he announced. Autonomous strike drones launched silently, each with payloads tailored to exploit alien defenses unknown even to their architects. Humanity had perfected deception, using the betrayer's own overconfidence against them. The Admiral's calm tone masked the storm of anticipation thrumming through the fleet. Enemy fleets scrambled in vain, reacting to phantom attacks that did not exist. Kael observed as entire planetary defenses collapsed under invisible pressure points. Every strike was invisible until the devastation was complete. Alien commanders could not comprehend the technology, the speed, the logic. Humanity had evolved beyond expectation, beyond fear, beyond mercy. "Ghost Protocol confirms success," Kael reported. Every flash of destruction was a testament to decades of exile, preparation, and unyielding resolve. Holographic feeds displayed survivors begging for mercy on worlds Kael had already condemned. He observed without reaction. "Mercy is a privilege they forfeited," he said quietly, almost to himself. Below decks, weapon arrays hummed with lethal intent, graviton pulses calibrated for systemic collapse. Humanity's wrath was an instrument, precise and unerring, No life tied to betrayal would escape judgment. The Admiral's resolve hardened as each signal of surrender flickered and died, proof of the relentless efficiency that defined their return. The fleet executed synchronized strikes, collapsing orbital stations into molten craters. Alien command networks were fractured, leaving entire planetary populations leaderless and vulnerable. Kael's eyes traced the holographic overlays of destruction, noting patterns for future operations. This was not chaos. It was choreography, designed to ensure that no betrayal could ever recur. Humanity's shadow stretched across the void, a warning written in fire. Kael whispered into the comms, "Let the galaxy remember the cost of treachery." Time dilated as Kael prepared the fleet for the next phase, direct orbital bombardment, shaking the bridge with vibrations resonating through titanium floors. Each ship aligned into precise vectors, targeting planetary equators, defense hubs, and suspected command centers. Humanity's return demanded perfection. No miscalculation could be tolerated. Kael's voice was cold, a metronome for impending annihilation. 0 hour begins. The Betrayer Empire would witness the full extent of humanity's technological and strategic superiority. AI-guided munitions descended like meteor swarms, each strike calculated to maximize structural failure. Planetary shields faltered against graviton disruptions, and defensive fleets disintegrated under relentless fire. Kael monitored the aftermath, the data streaming in faster than human comprehension. Cities crumbled, power grids collapsed, and hope evaporated in seconds. Humanity's precision was a message, unambiguous. Betrayal was fatal. The Admiral's calm gaze never wavered, his mind already on the next system in the galaxy-wide purge. The First Empire's capital burned under orbital bombardment. The fleet maintained orbit, circling like vultures over molten continents. Kael traced the fires with a meticulous eye, ensuring the destruction was complete. The betrayal that had once humiliated humanity would now define fear across the galaxy. No corner would hide traitors. No alliance would endure. Humanity's return was absolute, and Kael's hand guided it with surgical precision. Autonomous reconnaissance drones scoured the planet's surface for survivors, delivering swift justice to any holdouts. Alien remnants attempted communication, pleading for mercy, but their words were lost to the void. Kael's voice cut through. "This is the cost of betrayal. Remember it." The fleet jumped to the next system, leaving behind a scorched, uninhabitable world as a warning. Humanity's shadow stretched, methodical and inevitable, one empire at a time. The fleet slipped between two suns, shadows stretching across the flagship's hull. Kael's eyes scanned star charts mapping escape routes for fleeing betrayer factions. "They think the void can hide them," he muttered. Cloaked drones deployed silently, weaving through asteroid belts to intercept transports. Humanity had spent decades refining infiltration and subterfuge. Now it became lethal artistry. The Admiral's voice was calm, precise. "Cut the galaxy in half if necessary. No traitor survives." Alien signals faltered under quantum interference. Comms vanished mid-transmission. Kael's lieutenants monitored chain reactions as orbital cannons synchronized their strikes. Entire fleets disintegrated before defensive shields could deploy. Humanity's vengeance was methodical, instantaneous, unavoidable. Each star system fell into calculated chaos. Kael's hand hovered over the control console, a silent conductor orchestrating annihilation. Precision had replaced fury, and the galaxy would remember that shadow, binary and inescapable. A supernova flickered in the distance, illuminating the fleet like a cosmic pyre. Kael studied the Betrayer Empire's main world, now isolated and trembling. "Prepare graviton resonance cannons," he instructed. Every orbital array, every ship, every autonomous weapon was synchronized to collapse the planet's core with absolute certainty. Humanity's patience in exile had birthed technologies alien minds could not comprehend, weapons designed not for war, but for systematic eradication. The fleet adjusted its positions, poised to strike. Orbital bombardments began with terrifying efficiency, cities collapsing into molten rivers. Sensors confirmed structural failures at precise intervals, preventing rebuilding or escape. Kael's staff monitored civilian sectors. Mercy offered only if surrender was immediate. Alien fleets attempted desperate countermeasures, but each one failed spectacularly. Humanity's calculated fury was a language of inevitability, spoken in fire and resonance. Kael's eyes, unblinking, traced the devastation with grim satisfaction. Betrayal had a price, and it was exacted with surgical precision, as cloaked frigates emerged from hyperspace, cutting off retreat paths. Kael's holographic map flickered with movement, every vessel tracked, every trajectory predicted. "Intercept and neutralize," he ordered, voice cold as steel. Humanity's shadow had become omnipresent, a network of destruction no alien mind could outthink. The Betrayer Empire's fleets were fragmented, isolated, and unprepared for a war fought with patience, cunning, and superior technology. Kael's calm exterior masked the storm of retribution beneath. Plasma swarms and graviton mines eliminated fleeing ships in seconds. Autonomous strike units decimated orbital defenses, leaving no survivors. Kael watched the battle unfold like a meticulous simulation, noting efficiencies and minor errors for future campaigns. Humanity's vengeance was a sequence of perfect calculations, each move deliberate, each strike lethal. Every corner of the galaxy where treachery had taken root felt the precision of his hand. The Admiral whispered, almost reverently, "Perfection is justice. Humanity delivers." Planetary scans revealed devastation in slow motion. Oceans boiled, cities incinerated, and alien survivors scattered. Kael's gaze swept over holographic overlays with grim satisfaction. "Record every anomaly," he instructed. The galaxy must remember betrayal as a tangible, scorched reality. Humanity's return was no longer a rumor. It was a certainty written in fire. Orbital bombardments continued, each explosion timed for maximum psychological and structural impact. Precision, not chaos, defined the campaign. Autonomous hunter drones combed the surface, neutralizing pockets of resistance. Alien leaders attempted diplomacy too late, sending fragmented pleas into the void. Kael's hand hovered over the console, contemplating the next strike. Humanity had endured decades in shadow, weaponizing patience, intelligence, and cruelty disguised as precision. Each world reduced to ash was a testament to that discipline. The Admiral's calm tone carried over the fleet. "Let the galaxy burn until the cost of betrayal is remembered in every system." The fleet shifted to quantum speed assault patterns. Kael's mind calculated hundreds of outcomes per millisecond, each probability weighted for maximum effect. Cloaked frigates intercepted escape pods. Quantum mines collapsed planetary crusts, and plasma lances severed orbital grids. Humanity had returned not as a force, but as inevitability. The Betrayer Empire's panic was quantifiable, their defeat preordained. Kael's voice was a scalpel, precise and unyielding. "Deploy, Phase Omega. No one escapes." Orbital bombardments synchronized with surface strikes, each wave erasing defensive redundancies. Alien fleets faltered against human technology that evolved far beyond comprehension, unable to counter predictive AI targeting or graviton-induced collapse. Kael observed the results clinically. Every destroyed structure was a message. Betrayal demanded retribution. Humanity's vengeance stretched beyond moral considerations, a symphony of cold efficiency. The fleet prepared for the next system, the galaxy's shadow expanding, unrelenting and inevitable. The fleet approached a cluster of binary systems. Kael's eyes scanned holographic overlays. Enemy fleets were scattered, desperate, uncoordinated. "Divide and conquer," he instructed. Cloaked frigates slipped between gravitational fields, cutting off escape lanes. Humanity's patience, honed in exile, had perfected surgical annihilation. Every star system betrayed them once. Now every star system would pay. The Admiral's calm tone masked the storm of vengeance ready to erupt across the cluster. Quantum torpedoes struck simultaneously across multiple worlds, destabilizing planetary cores. Sensors monitored chain reactions, confirming total collapse. Orbital defenses crumbled before shields could engage. Kael's lieutenants reported kill ratios in real time, the efficiency almost coldly beautiful. Humanity's wrath was no longer reactive. It was orchestrated inevitability. The galaxy had underestimated the shadowed years. Now, each fragment of betrayal burned as a testament to human calculation, ruthlessness, and technological supremacy, reverberating through the flagship's hull as Kael activated the next phase, Oblivion Protocol. Autonomous drones aligned in hexagonal patterns, their graviton emitters calibrated to fracture crusts with millimeter precision. "Deploy in staggered waves," he commanded. The fleet moved as one, a seamless instrument of annihilation. Every betrayal counted, every delay punished. Humanity's technology was alien even to aliens, a perfect blend of engineering genius and vengeance perfected over decades. Orbital bombardments began with surgical strikes, targeting command hubs, supply depots, and defensive arrays. Alien fleets responded chaotically, unaware that their every movement had been anticipated. Sensors confirmed planetary destabilization, population collapse, and infrastructure annihilation. Kael monitored the holographic projections, noting efficiencies, small errors, and anomalies. Humanity's vengeance had become art, precise, unstoppable, and merciless. "Oblivion, protocol complete," he stated simply. The betrayers would remember the cost of treachery for generations, if any survived at all. Flames consumed cities as the fleet maintained orbital supremacy, a chorus of war drums. Kael's holographic displays traced the spread of destruction with meticulous attention. Each strike was calculated, timed, and lethal. Communication networks of the Betrayer Empire collapsed under quantum interference. Humanity's vengeance was no longer rumor or threat. It was tangible, devastating, inescapable. Kael's voice, steady and precise, resonated across the bridge. "Let every ember be a warning." Autonomous drones scoured the planet for survivors, neutralizing command nodes with surgical efficiency. Alien fleets attempted to regroup, but predictive AI anticipated every maneuver. Kael's eyes followed orbital projections with cold satisfaction, patterns of obliteration, perfectly executed. The betrayal that had erased fleets decades ago now faced the cruel efficiency of a civilization reborn, a shadow that could not be outrun. Carrying humanity's judgment deeper into the heart of the galaxy, the fleet entered silent space. No signals, no defenses, only anticipation. Kael's gaze was unflinching, scanning the tactical map for hidden pockets of resistance. "Prepare silent strike teams," he commanded. Cloaked frigates detached, moving like phantoms toward unsuspecting colonies. Humanity's vengeance required patience. The betrayer's fear was as essential as the destruction itself. Kael's calm demeanor belied the storm he orchestrated across the void. Quantum mines detonated in precise intervals, destabilizing planetary cores without warning. Communications died mid-transmission, leaving alien commanders blind and panicked. Kael observed holographic overlays, each color-coded flash representing success. Humanity had waited decades for this return. Betrayal's cost was no longer theoretical. The Admiral's cold promise echoed through the fleet. No world complicit in deceit would escape. propelling the silent reckoning to the next system, relentless, precise, inevitable. Shaking the flagship as Kael reviewed the next operation, simultaneous multiplanetary strikes. Every weapon calibrated, every fleet vectored, every strike timed to microseconds. "Inferno calculus is live," he announced. Cloaked frigates deployed in fractal patterns, cutting off escape routes while automated assault units readied orbital bombardments. Humanity's vengeance was no longer a reaction. It was preordained, a perfect algorithm of fire, destruction, and precision. Orbital lasers carved through alien fortresses, graviton resonators destabilized planetary crusts. Communications failed, morale collapsed, defenses disintegrated. Kael's holographic screens flickered with evidence of total annihilation. Cities reduced to ash, fleets vaporized, systems rendered uninhabitable. Humanity's shadow stretched further, methodical, inescapable, and absolute. "Record everything," he commanded. Each strike, each calculated devastation was a lesson to the galaxy. Betrayal is fatal, and humanity does not forgive. The fleet spread across multiple star systems, cutting off every escape vector. Kael studied the holographic overlays. Enemy fleets scattered, planets isolated, communications fragmented. "No safe harbor remains," he declared. Cloaked strike units slipped through asteroid belts and gravitational anomalies, silently intercepting retreating ships. Humanity's vengeance had evolved into a methodical algorithm, precise and unyielding. Every star, every fleet, every betrayer was accounted for. The Admiral's voice, calm and unwavering, resonated across the command deck. "The galaxy will remember this." Graviton torpedoes detonated, fracturing planetary crusts with surgical precision. Orbital defenses crumbled before shields could activate, and autonomous drones neutralized fleeing leaders. Kael monitored kill ratios in real time, each successful strike a testament to decades of preparation. Humanity's shadow extended, precise and inevitable, sweeping the remnants of the first betrayed empire from the stars. Every flash of destruction sent a clear message. Betrayal would always bear a fatal price. The fleet approached a cluster of volcanic worlds. Kael's gaze was unflinching, his mind calculating every possible countermeasure. "Prepare Obsidian Protocol," he commanded. Cloaked frigates aligned in hexagonal formations, graviton cannons ready. Humanity's vengeance demanded perfection. Hesitation was unacceptable. The betrayers would not know the meaning of mercy. Every planet, every fleet, every colony would experience the cold efficiency of human wrath. Orbital bombardments began, each strike timed to destabilize planetary crusts while neutralizing defensive grids. Alien fleets attempted evasive maneuvers, but predictive AI anticipated every action. Kael observed holographic projections as volcanic eruptions synchronized with targeted strikes, a devastating symphony of fire and metal. Humanity's revenge was not chaos. It was calculus. Every destroyed city, every fractured world, every panicked transmission confirmed the absolute certainty of the Admiral's promise. Betrayal was fatal. The fleet converged on multiple capital worlds simultaneously. Kael's eyes scanned projections, tracking every vessel, every orbital weapon, every communication pulse. "Deploy Ashfall Armada," he ordered. Cloaked frigates cut off escape vectors while plasma swarms aligned for maximum efficiency. Humanity's vengeance was no longer reactive. It was orchestrated inevitability, a symphony of annihilation. The Admiral's voice carried through the bridge, precise and cold. "Leave nothing behind." Graviton resonance cannons fractured planetary cores. Orbital bombardments reduced cities to molten ash. Autonomous drones patrolled for survivors, neutralizing every holdout. Alien fleets faltered, disoriented by quantum interference and predictive targeting. Kael monitored holographic overlays, each flash of destruction confirming the fleet's flawless execution. Humanity had returned from the shadows with a single purpose: to eradicate betrayal. The next system blinked into tactical range. The fleet entered a system shrouded in dense radiation fields. Kael's gaze was unwavering, calculating gravitational anomalies, orbital patterns, and escape vectors. "Activate Quantum Eclipse," he commanded. Cloaked frigates and autonomous strike units moved like ghosts through the stellar storm, undetectable, precise, and lethal. Humanity's vengeance had become art, a calculation of destruction where betrayal met inevitable death. The Admiral's calm tone masked the storm of wrath rippling through the void. Orbital bombardments began with flawless timing, destabilizing planetary crusts while destroying command centers. Alien fleets reacted, but their actions were anticipated, countered, and nullified. Kael observed holographic feeds with clinical detachment, noting each error and success. Humanity's shadow spread, methodical and unstoppable, leaving worlds scorched and fleets annihilated, propelling the fleet toward the next target. Every system, every planet, every betrayer would feel the consequences of treachery. Planetary scans revealed cities reduced to molten rubble, defensive grids collapsed, and fleeing survivors captured by autonomous drones. Kael's eyes scanned holographic projections with meticulous precision. "Cinders of vengeance," he murmured, reviewing the efficiency of the strikes. Humanity's return had been long awaited, and every betrayal paid in fire and ash. The Admiral's calm voice resonated across the fleet. "Ensure total eradication. No life tied to treachery survives." Orbital lasers and graviton resonators executed final synchronized strikes, leaving nothing operational. Alien communications dissolved into static. Fleets evaporated under relentless precision. Kael monitored the aftermath, each destroyed world a testament to calculated fury. Humanity's shadow stretched further, ruthless and inevitable. The fleet prepared for the next system, the galaxy bearing witness to the cold, unyielding calculus of Admiral Kael's vengeance. The fleet emerged from a nebula, starfields refracting off the hull like fractured glass. Kael's eyes scanned the tactical displays. Enemy fleets were scattered, planetary defenses flickering. "Iridescent doom deployed," he commanded. Cloaked frigates slipped between stellar anomalies, intercepting supply convoys. Humanity's vengeance had matured into flawless orchestration. Every strike a calculated note in a symphony of destruction. The Admiral's voice, calm and deliberate, resonated across the bridge. Let them feel the full weight of their betrayal. Graviton mines detonated across multiple planetary cores, destabilizing crusts with surgical precision. Orbital bombardments erased cities, while autonomous drones neutralized command nodes. Alien fleets attempted desperate countermeasures, but predictive AI anticipated every move. Kael reviewed holographic feeds, noting every success and minor deviation. Humanity's shadow spread with unyielding precision. Each destroyed system was a warning, every ember a testament to vengeance honed over decades. The fleet leapt toward the next target. Cloaked strike teams infiltrated deep space colonies. Kael's holographic map displayed fleeing vessels, fractured defense grids, and communications attempting to rally. "Activate Shattered Veil," he commanded. Quantum interference scrambled sensors, leaving alien commanders blind. Humanity's vengeance had become omnipresent, everywhere yet unseen, a shadow with teeth. The Admiral's voice carried authority, a scalpel cutting through panic. "No corner will hide them. No betrayal will be unpunished." Orbital cannons and plasma lances struck with impeccable timing, leaving defensive structures in ruins. Autonomous hunter drones neutralized surviving command elements, ensuring no recovery. Kael's eyes traced each holographic projection, noting patterns of chaos and compliance. Humanity had returned from exile with precision unmatched, a force that combined strategy, technology, and cold inevitability. The fleet moved to the next system, leaving scorched worlds and shattered fleets in its wake. The fleet aligned along a dense cluster of gas giants. Kael studied gravitational vectors, calculating precise bombardment trajectories. "Gravity of retribution," he announced. "Engage orbital destabilizers." Cloaked frigates threaded through gravitational eddies, delivering microstrikes to defensive outposts. Humanity's patience in exile had transformed into lethal foresight. Every system that had betrayed them would learn the cost. The Admiral's calm tone masked the relentless destruction about to unfold. Graviton pulses fractured planetary cores, synchronized with orbital artillery to collapse infrastructure with precision. Alien fleets attempted evasive maneuvers, but predictive AI anticipated every course correction. Kael's eyes remained unblinking as data streams confirmed annihilation. Humanity's shadow extended, systematic and unyielding. Each planet reduced to ash was both a revenge and a lesson. Betrayal carried consequences beyond imagination. The fleet leapt to the next system, leaving devastation in its wake. The fleet approached a system cloaked in artificial darkness. Kael's tactical screens glowed with intercepted signals, projecting fleeing fleets and planetary defenses. "Calling light," he ordered. Cloaked frigates emerged from the shadows, cutting off escape routes while autonomous drones prepared synchronized strikes. Humanity's return had become inevitable, surgical, and merciless. Every star, every fleet, every betrayer would feel the cold efficiency of Admiral Kael's vengeance. Orbital bombardments began, atomic resonance cannons shattering defensive grids. Alien fleets were dismantled before they could counterattack. Holographic projections confirmed systemic collapse. Cities obliterated. Planetary command centers neutralized. Kael's hand hovered over the control console, calculating the next sequence with mathematical certainty. Humanity's shadow spread like wildfire, methodical and unstoppable. Propelling the fleet to the next system, another stage in the relentless demonstration that betrayal is fatal. The fleet encircled a betrayed empire's capital. Kael's eyes scanned orbital defenses, supply lines, and civilian enclaves. "Ember Dominion engaged," he commanded. Cloaked frigates deployed along tactical vectors, intercepting every escape pod and blockade runner. Humanity's vengeance was no longer rumor. It was absolute. Each strike had been perfected over decades of exile, a combination of technological mastery and unflinching resolve. The Admiral's voice echoed across the command deck. "Ensure no Ember survives." Graviton torpedoes collapsed planetary crusts while orbital cannons incinerated defensive installations. Autonomous drones hunted leaders, eliminating every node of command. Alien communications dissolved into static, hope evaporating in microseconds. Kael reviewed holographic feeds, noting the precision and efficiency of every strike. Humanity's shadow stretched further, systematic, inevitable, and merciless. The fleet prepared to advance. Another empire reduced to cinders, another message carved into the stars. Betrayal carries a fatal price. The fleet entered a binary star system, twin suns casting fractured light across the flagship's hull. Kael's tactical display highlighted fleeing vessels, shattered defenses, and civilian exodus attempts. "Stellar Crucible engaged," he announced. Cloaked frigates threaded between gravity wells, intercepting transports before they could escape. Humanity's vengeance had become surgical inevitability, precise and unyielding. Every betrayal, every hesitation, every failed alliance would be punished. The Admiral's calm voice cut through the bridge. "The crucible of justice begins now." Graviton torpedoes detonated, destabilizing planetary cores while orbital lasers incinerated defense networks. Autonomous drones hunted fleeing leaders and military units, leaving no nodes of resistance. Kael monitored holographic overlays with clinical focus, each destroyed structure confirming flawless execution. Humanity's shadow extended, precise and relentless. The fleet leapt toward the next system, another stage in the systematic eradication of betrayal. The fleet approached a system shrouded in dense asteroid fields. Kael's eyes scanned every projection, calculating trajectories and vulnerabilities. "Obsidian Horizon," he commanded. Cloaked frigates navigated the debris, cutting off escape routes while autonomous strike units prepped orbital bombardments. Humanity's patience in exile had transformed into lethal orchestration, every move anticipated, every outcome controlled. The Admiral's voice remained calm, but the storm of vengeance in the void was absolute. Graviton resonance cannons fractured planetary cores, synchronized with orbital artillery to collapse infrastructure. Alien fleets scrambled, but predictive AI anticipated every evasive maneuver. Kael's eyes scanned holographic feeds, noting every success and deviation. Humanity's shadow stretched further, methodical and inescapable. Each destroyed world reinforced the lesson. Betrayal exacted a fatal toll. The fleet jumped to the next system, leaving ruin and terror behind. The fleet deployed into orbit around a cluster of oceanic planets. Kael's holographic overlays highlighted civilian and military zones, escape vectors, and orbital defenses. "Infernal tides engaged," he commanded. Cloaked frigates struck first, cutting off retreat, while orbital bombardments prepared to fracture planetary crusts. Humanity's vengeance was precise, surgical, and unavoidable. Every star system that had betrayed them now faced the consequences. The Admiral's calm demeanor masked the relentless fury beneath. Plasma swarms tore through orbital defenses while graviton pulses destabilized planetary cores. Autonomous drones neutralized command networks, leaving no possibility for coordinated resistance. Kael reviewed data streams, noting kill ratios, planetary collapse timelines, and structural failures. Humanity's shadow extended, sweeping through the galaxy with unstoppable precision. The fleet leapt to the next system, leaving scorched worlds in a methodical trail of retribution. The fleet aligned for multi-planetary strikes. Kael's tactical display tracked every fleet, supply chain, and defensive array. "Quantum Inferno active," he commanded. Cloaked frigates moved in fractal formations, intercepting escape pods while orbital bombardments prepared for microsecond precise detonations. Humanity's vengeance was no longer reactionary. It was inevitable, calculated, and merciless. The Admiral's calm tone belied the total annihilation rippling across the void. Orbital lasers and graviton torpedoes synchronized to fracture planetary crusts, destabilizing defenses while neutralizing command structures. Alien fleets were rendered ineffective by predictive AI, their maneuvers anticipated and countered. Kael observed holographic projections, noting the perfection of each strike. Humanity's shadow stretched further, systematic and absolute. The fleet prepared to advance to the next target, another empire poised to feel the cold calculus of betrayal's cost. The fleet entered a system of shattered moons and debris fields. Kael's eyes scanned projections of fleeing fleets, destabilized planets, and fractured command networks. "Cinders of the void," he stated, activating orbital destabilizers. Cloaked frigates intercepted every transport while autonomous drones swept for survivors. Humanity's vengeance was unstoppable, precise, and absolute. Every star, every fleet, every betrayer would feel the weight of decades-long exile perfected into deadly orchestration. Graviton pulses fractured planetary crusts. Orbital bombardments incinerated defensive hubs. Alien communication grids collapsed, leaving entire systems blind and helpless. Kael's hands hovered over the console, monitoring holographic feeds with calculated detachment. Humanity's shadow spread like wildfire, methodical, relentless, and merciless. The fleet jumped to the next system, leaving scorched worlds behind, a galaxy-wide testament that betrayal bore an inevitable, fatal price. The fleet approached a system of densely packed planets. Kael's eyes scanned tactical overlays, every fleet, supply convoy, and orbital installation mapped in exacting detail. "Celestial annihilation engaged," he announced. Cloaked frigates threaded asteroid belts and gravitational eddies, cutting off retreat. Humanity's vengeance had become an unstoppable algorithm, precise and unyielding. Every betrayed world would feel the cold certainty of Kael's judgment. The Admiral's voice, calm and deliberate, carried through the bridge. Let nothing survive. Graviton torpedoes detonated with surgical precision, fracturing planetary cores. Orbital bombardments reduced cities to molten ash, while autonomous drones neutralized remaining fleets. Alien commanders struggled to coordinate, but predictive AI anticipated every move. Kael monitored holographic feeds, noting structural collapses and planetary destabilization. Humanity's shadow expanded, sweeping through the system like inevitable judgment. The fleet jumped to the next cluster, leaving total annihilation in its wake. The fleet entered a system illuminated by a dying sun. Kael studied holographic projections, tracking fleeing fleets, defense arrays, and evacuation attempts. "Radiant oblivion deployed," he commanded. Cloaked frigates slipped through the stellar radiation, intercepting ships before they could escape. Humanity's vengeance was precise, surgical, and unstoppable. The Admiral's calm tone masked the storm of destruction about to unfold. Betrayal would meet total eradication. Orbital bombardments and graviton resonance cannons shattered planetary crusts. Autonomous drones hunted command nodes and fleeing leaders with lethal efficiency. Alien fleets disintegrated under predictive targeting and quantum disruption. Kael's eyes scanned holographic overlays, confirming total system collapse. Humanity's shadow extended relentlessly, leaving scorched planets and destroyed fleets as testimony. The fleet prepared to strike the next system, delivering a galaxy-wide warning: betrayal carries an inevitable, fatal cost. The fleet approached a cluster of fragmented moons orbiting a gas giant. Kael's tactical display highlighted every fleet, orbital weapon, and escape route. "Shattered continuum activated," he commanded. Cloaked frigates intercepted fleeing vessels, while orbital bombardments destabilized surface structures with millimeter precision. Humanity's vengeance had transcended conventional warfare. Each strike was calculated, inevitable, and total. The Admiral's calm voice cut through bridge chatter. No world escapes judgment. Graviton torpedoes fractured planetary cores, synchronized with orbital lasers to annihilate defenses. Autonomous drones neutralized remaining military and political leaders, leaving no nodes of resistance. Kael reviewed data streams with meticulous focus, noting patterns, anomalies, and successful eliminations. Humanity's shadow spread like wildfire across the system, leaving ruins and fear in its wake. The fleet leapt to the next system, another empire poised to experience the consequences of betrayal. The fleet entered a star system shrouded in dense asteroid fields. Kael's eyes scanned tactical maps, calculating trajectories, escape paths, and planetary vulnerabilities. "Eclipse of retribution," he commanded. Cloaked frigates navigated debris with lethal precision, cutting off fleeing vessels. Humanity's vengeance was methodical, surgical, and unavoidable. Every star, every fleet, every betrayer would feel the cold efficiency of Admiral Kael's judgment. Orbital bombardments began with microsecond precision, destabilizing planetary cores while destroying command centers. Alien fleets attempted evasive maneuvers, but predictive AI anticipated every movement. Kael monitored holographic feeds, confirming total annihilation. Humanity's shadow stretched further, systematic, and inescapable. The fleet jumped to the next system, leaving scorched worlds behind, a warning carved into the stars. Betrayal is fatal, and humanity does not forgive. The fleet encircled a capital world of a betrayed empire. Kael's tactical displays highlighted defensive grids, supply chains, and evacuation attempts. "Inferno Dominion engaged," he announced. Cloaked frigates cut off every escape vector, while autonomous drones patrolled for survivors. Humanity's vengeance was no rumor. It was absolute, precise, and merciless. The Admiral's calm voice resonated across the bridge. "Ensure no ember survives." Graviton torpedoes collapsed planetary crusts. Orbital cannons incinerated defensive hubs. Alien communications dissolved into static, hope evaporating in microseconds. Kael reviewed holographic feeds, noting the efficiency and perfection of each strike. Humanity's shadow expanded, relentless and systematic. The fleet prepared to advance, the galaxy bearing witness to Admiral Kael's cold calculus. Betrayal carries an inevitable, fatal price. The fleet approached a system of fortified colonies. Kael's tactical overlays displayed orbital weaponry, fleeing convoys, and planetary defenses. "Veil of Ash engaged," he commanded. Cloaked frigates infiltrated asteroid belts, intercepting transport vessels while autonomous strike units prepared synchronized orbital bombardments. Humanity's vengeance was precise, surgical, and inevitable. Every empire that had betrayed them would feel the weight of calculated wrath. The Admiral's voice cut through bridge chatter. "Leave nothing untouched." Graviton torpedoes destabilized planetary cores, while orbital lasers incinerated defensive installations. Alien fleets attempted coordinated attacks, but predictive AI anticipated every maneuver. Kael monitored holographic feeds with detached precision, noting structural failures and fleet disintegration. Humanity's shadow extended, methodical and unyielding. The fleet jumped to the next system, leaving scorched worlds and shattered fleets, a reminder that betrayal demanded payment in fire. The fleet split into multiple wings to encircle neighboring systems. Kael's eyes scanned the projections of fleeing fleets, resource hubs, and planetary defenses. "Shadow Cascade deployed," he commanded. Cloaked frigates cut off retreat, while orbital bombardments prepared to fracture planetary crusts with millimeter precision. Humanity's vengeance was no longer reactive. It was inevitable, calculated, and merciless. The Admiral's calm tone masked the storm of annihilation sweeping through the galaxy. Graviton resonance cannons detonated, destabilizing planetary interiors. Autonomous drones neutralized command networks and remaining military units. Alien fleets floundered under predictive AI targeting, disoriented and annihilated. Kael observed holographic overlays, noting every success and minor deviation. Humanity's shadow spread across the systems, leaving nothing but ruins. The fleet leapt to the next target, another stage in the systematic eradication of betrayal across the galaxy. The fleet entered a dense star cluster, planets orbiting dangerously close to unstable suns. Kael's tactical displays highlighted fleets, orbital weapons, and evacuation attempts. "Obsidian Rain engaged," he commanded. Cloaked frigates cut off escape vectors, while orbital bombardments destabilized planetary crusts. Humanity's vengeance had transcended conventional warfare. Each strike was preordained, precise, and unavoidable. The Admiral's calm voice resonated. "No world escapes justice." Orbital lasers incinerated defensive hubs while graviton pulses fractured planetary cores. Autonomous drones hunted surviving leaders, neutralizing every command node. Alien fleets attempted last-ditch maneuvers but were anticipated and countered with ruthless efficiency. Kael reviewed holographic feeds, noting the perfection of each strike. Humanity's shadow stretched further, leaving fear, ruin, and a lesson carved into every system. Betrayal carries a fatal cost. The fleet is prepared to advance. The fleet approached a multi-planet empire struggling to coordinate defenses. Kael's holographic map displayed fragmented fleets, supply chains, and orbital weapon placements. "Fractured Dominion," he announced. Cloaked frigates cut off every escape route while orbital bombardments prepared for synchronized devastation. Humanity's vengeance was methodical, surgical, and total. Every star, every fleet, every betrayer would feel the cold precision of Admiral Kael's wrath. Graviton torpedoes and orbital cannons struck simultaneously, collapsing planetary cores and incinerating defense grids. Autonomous drones eliminated the remaining military and political leaders. Alien communications collapsed into static. Fleets dissolved under predictive AI targeting. Kael observed every detail with unblinking focus, confirming perfection in execution. Humanity's shadow extended, relentless and inescapable. The fleet leapt to the next system, leaving devastation and terror in its wake. The fleet encircled a betrayed empire's capital. Kael's tactical displays highlighted defenses, evacuation attempts, and orbital arrays. "Infernal Dominion 2, engaged," he commanded. Cloaked frigates intercepted every fleeing vessel, while autonomous drones patrolled for survivors. Humanity's vengeance was absolute, precise, and merciless. The Admiral's calm voice resonated across the bridge. "Ensure no ember survives." Graviton resonance cannons fractured planetary crusts. Orbital lasers incinerated defensive installations. Alien communication grids collapsed, leaving entire systems blind and leaderless. Kael monitored holographic feeds with detached precision, noting structural collapses and fleet annihilation. Humanity's shadow extended further, systematic and unstoppable. The fleet prepared to advance, the galaxy bearing witness to Admiral Kael's cold calculus. Betrayal carries an inevitable, fatal price. The fleet approached a system dominated by a massive black star. Kael's tactical overlays revealed fleeing fleets and orbital defenses teetering on collapse. "Black Star, reckoning engaged," he commanded. Cloaked frigates slipped between gravitational anomalies, intercepting transports while autonomous strike units prepped synchronized orbital bombardments. Humanity's vengeance had become omnipresent, surgical, and inevitable. The Admiral's calm voice carried across the bridge. "Let nothing escape our judgment." Graviton torpedoes destabilized planetary cores while orbital lasers incinerated defensive grids. Alien fleets attempted maneuvers, but predictive AI anticipated every action. Kael monitored holographic feeds with clinical precision, noting each failure and success. Humanity's shadow extended, leaving devastation and fear in its wake. The fleet leapt to the next system, continuing the inexorable sweep of retribution. The fleet entered a system of scorched planets. Kael studied tactical overlays, fleets, defensive arrays, and fleeing convoys. "Ashen Dominion activated," he announced. Cloaked frigates cut off escape routes, while orbital bombardments destabilized planetary crusts with millimeter accuracy. Humanity's vengeance was preordained, precise and relentless. Every betrayed empire would face the full measure of Admiral Kael's wrath. The calm tone of his voice belied the storm of destruction sweeping the system. Graviton resonance cannons fractured cores. Plasma swarms incinerated defensive installations. Autonomous drones hunted surviving leaders and remaining fleets. Alien communication grids collapsed under quantum interference. Kael reviewed holographic feeds, confirming flawless execution. Humanity's shadow spread, methodical and unstoppable. The fleet leapt to the next system, another empire reduced to ashes, another warning carved into the stars. The fleet navigated a field of dense asteroids and unstable moons. Kael's tactical displays highlighted fleeing convoys and orbital weapon arrays. "Quantum crucible deployed," he commanded. Cloaked frigates slipped through debris, intercepting every vessel while orbital bombardments prepared to fracture planetary crusts. Humanity's vengeance had become a perfect machine, calculated, unavoidable, and merciless. The Admiral's calm tone masked the total annihilation about to unfold. Orbital lasers incinerated defenses while graviton pulses destabilized planetary cores. Autonomous drones neutralized command nodes and military leaders. Alien fleets attempted desperate maneuvers, but predictive AI countered every action. Kael monitored holographic feeds with detached focus, confirming systemic collapse. Humanity's shadow expanded, leaving ruin and terror in its wake. The fleet jumped to the next system, continuing the relentless eradication of betrayal. The fleet approached a system of smoldering planets and fractured moons. Kael's holographic overlays displayed every fleet, supply line, and defensive array. "Eclipse of ash," he commanded. Cloaked frigates intercepted escape pods while orbital bombardments destabilized planetary crusts with flawless precision. Humanity's vengeance had evolved into inevitability, surgical and absolute. The Admiral's voice echoed calmly across the bridge. "No world escapes justice." Graviton resonance cannons fractured planetary cores, while plasma swarms reduced cities to molten rubble. Autonomous drones hunted surviving leaders, leaving no command nodes intact. Alien communication grids dissolved into static. Kael observed holographic feeds, noting perfect execution and total annihilation. Humanity's shadow stretched further, relentless and systematic. The fleet leapt to the next system, leaving terror and devastation as a galaxy-wide message. Betrayal carries an unavoidable, fatal cost. The fleet encircled the final stronghold of the first betrayed empire. Kael's tactical displays highlighted orbital defenses, evacuation attempts, and supply networks. "Inferno Ascendant engaged," he announced. Cloaked frigates cut off every escape vector, while autonomous drones patrolled for survivors. Humanity's vengeance was absolute, precise, and merciless. The Admiral's calm voice carried across the bridge. "Ensure nothing survives to remember this day." Graviton torpedoes collapsed planetary crusts. Orbital lasers incinerated all defenses. Alien fleets evaporated under predictive AI targeting. Kael reviewed holographic feeds, confirming total systemic annihilation. Humanity's shadow extended relentlessly, methodically, and unstoppable. The fleet prepared to advance, the galaxy bearing witness to the final indisputable message. Betrayal exacts a fatal, inescapable price. The fleet converged on multiple enemy systems simultaneously. Kael's holographic displays tracked fleeing fleets, planetary defenses, and evacuation convoys. Shadow. "Convergence initiated," he commanded. Cloaked frigates intercepted transports while autonomous drones prepared synchronized strikes. Humanity's vengeance had become omnipresent and inevitable. The Admiral's calm tone belied the storm sweeping the galaxy. Betrayal would meet calculated, total annihilation. Graviton resonance cannons fractured planetary cores. Orbital lasers incinerated defensive hubs. Alien fleets faltered under predictive AI targeting, unable to coordinate. Kael monitored holographic feeds, confirming systematic destruction. Humanity's shadow expanded, leaving fear and ruin in its wake. The fleet leapt to the next cluster, another stage in the relentless eradication of betrayal. The fleet entered a system dominated by interlocking gas giants. Kael's tactical overlays highlighted fleeing convoys and orbital arrays. "Cinder Nexus deployed," he announced. Cloaked frigates maneuvered through gravitational eddies, cutting off escape vectors while orbital bombardments prepared to fracture planetary crusts. Humanity's vengeance was precise, methodical, and unavoidable. The Admiral's calm voice echoed across the bridge. "No corner will hide them." Orbital lasers and graviton pulses synchronized to annihilate defenses and destabilize planetary cores. Autonomous drones hunted surviving leaders, leaving no command nodes intact. Alien fleets disintegrated under predictive AI targeting. Kael reviewed holographic feeds with unflinching focus, confirming flawless execution. Humanity's shadow expanded, sweeping across systems like wildfire. The fleet prepared to advance, leaving scorched planets and shattered fleets behind. The fleet approached a fortified Empire capital. Kael's eyes scanned defensive arrays, escape routes, and orbital weapons. "Obsidian Reckoning engaged," he commanded. Cloaked frigates intercepted every fleeing vessel while orbital bombardments destabilized planetary crusts with surgical precision. Humanity's vengeance had become inevitable, calculated, unstoppable, and total. The Admiral's calm tone belied the destruction rippling through the void. Graviton resonance cannons fractured planetary cores while orbital lasers incinerated military and political installations. Autonomous drones neutralized remaining fleets and command nodes. Alien communications dissolved into static. Kael monitored holographic feeds with clinical detachment, noting perfect execution. Humanity's shadow stretched further, methodical and inescapable. The fleet leapt to the next system, leaving ruin and fear as a stark message. Betrayal is fatal. The fleet navigated a star cluster with unstable gravity wells. Kael's tactical displays highlighted fleeing fleets, planetary defenses, and evacuation attempts. "Quantum Dominion activated," he announced. Cloaked frigates intercepted transports while orbital bombardments prepared to collapse planetary crusts with microsecond precision. Humanity's vengeance was preordained, surgical, and merciless. The Admiral's calm voice cut through the bridge. "No star will escape judgment." Orbital lasers and graviton torpedoes struck simultaneously, destabilizing planetary interiors and erasing defensive grids. Autonomous drones hunted surviving leaders, ensuring no nodes of resistance remained. Alien fleets faltered, their maneuvers anticipated and countered. Kael observed holographic projections, noting every perfect strike. Humanity's shadow extended relentlessly, leaving fear and ruin in every system. The fleet jumped to the next target, another empire poised to feel the consequences of betrayal. The fleet encircled the final stronghold of a multi-system empire. Kael's tactical overlays highlighted orbital defenses, evacuation attempts, and supply lines. "Ember Cataclysm engaged," he commanded. Cloaked frigates intercepted every escape pod while autonomous drones patrolled for survivors. Humanity's vengeance was absolute, precise, and merciless. The Admiral's calm voice resonated across the bridge. "Leave nothing alive to remember this day." Graviton torpedoes fractured planetary crusts. Orbital lasers incinerated all military and political installations. Alien fleets evaporated under predictive AI targeting. Kael reviewed holographic feeds with detached precision, confirming total systemic annihilation. Humanity's shadow expanded further, systematic and unstoppable. The fleet is prepared to advance. The galaxy is witnessing Admiral Kael's ultimate calculus. Betrayal carries an inevitable, fatal price. The fleet approached the last vestiges of resistance. Kael's holographic overlays revealed scattered fleets, shattered planetary defenses, and fleeing leaders. "Void Ascendancy activated," he commanded. Cloaked frigates intercepted every transport while orbital bombardments prepared to fracture planetary crusts with microsecond precision. Humanity's vengeance had reached its apex of inevitability. The Admiral's calm voice resonated across the bridge. "Every betrayal ends here." Graviton torpedoes detonated, destabilizing planetary cores. Orbital lasers incinerated defensive grids while autonomous drones neutralized command nodes. Alien fleets crumbled under predictive AI targeting. Kael monitored holographic feeds with cold detachment. confirming flawless execution. Humanity's shadow extended across the system, leaving ruin and fear in its wake. The fleet prepared to advance. Nothing remained to challenge the inexorable tide of retribution. The fleet entered a dense star cluster. Kael's tactical displays highlighted fleeing fleets, evacuation convoys, and orbital weapons. Stellar Crucible Certitude 2 engaged, he commanded. Cloaked frigates threaded gravitational anomalies, intercepting vessels before escape. Humanity's vengeance was precise, surgical, and absolute. The Admiral's calm tone masked the storm sweeping through the void. Betrayal would meet total annihilation. Graviton resonance cannons fractured planetary cores. Orbital bombardments reduced cities to molten rubble. Autonomous drones hunted surviving leaders, leaving no command nodes intact. Alien communications dissolved into static. Kael observed holographic feeds, confirming perfect execution. Humanity's shadow stretched further, systematic and unstoppable. The fleet leapt to the next system, another empire feeling the full weight of betrayal's price. The fleet converged on a coalition of fleeing empires. Kael's eyes scanned holographic overlays, tracking defensive arrays, fleets, and evacuation attempts. "Oblivion Nexus deployed," he commanded. Cloaked frigates cut off every escape vector while orbital bombardments prepared for synchronized devastation. Humanity's vengeance had evolved into omnipresent inevitability. The Admiral's calm voice echoed, "No system survives the reckoning." Graviton torpedoes destabilized planetary cores. Orbital lasers annihilated defensive installations. Autonomous drones neutralized the remaining leaders and fleets. Alien coordination collapsed under predictive AI targeting. Kael monitored every holographic feed, noting perfect execution and total system annihilation. Humanity's shadow extended relentlessly, leaving fear, ruin, and a galaxy-wide warning. Betrayal is fatal, and no world escapes its cost. The fleet encircled the last bastion of resistance. Kael's tactical overlays highlighted orbital defenses, evacuation attempts, and supply chains. "Inferno Convergence engaged," he commanded. Cloaked frigates intercepted fleeing vessels while autonomous drones patrolled for survivors. Humanity's vengeance was absolute, precise, and merciless. The Admiral's calm voice resonated across the bridge. "Leave nothing alive to witness this judgment." Graviton torpedoes fractured planetary crusts. Orbital lasers incinerated all installations. Alien fleets evaporated under predictive AI targeting. Kael reviewed holographic feeds with clinical detachment, confirming total systemic annihilation. Humanity's shadow expanded further, systematic and unstoppable. The fleet is prepared to advance. The galaxy is witnessing Admiral Kael's ultimate calculus. Betrayal carries an inevitable, fatal price. The fleet entered the final, silent system. Kael's eyes scanned empty starfields and fractured worlds, remnants of betrayal's destruction. "The last ember," he said, voice calm but resonant. Cloaked frigates swept for any surviving vessels while autonomous drones ensured no command nodes remained. Humanity's vengeance had reached completion. The Admiral's gaze held the weight of decades in exile. Meticulous, inevitable, merciless. Graviton torpedoes detonated across planetary cores, collapsing the last defenses. Orbital lasers burned remaining installations to cinders. Alien communications were reduced to silence. Kael monitored the aftermath, every holographic overlay confirming perfection in execution. Humanity's shadow stretched across the galaxy, total, absolute, and unforgiving. One final time, carrying the fleet onward, leaving the ultimate testament, betrayal is fatal, and humanity never forgets. The end. Thank you for watching AstroMyths. If you enjoyed this story, smash that like button and subscribe for more epic sci-fi tales cosmic mysteries, and mind-bending myths. And if you like this story, or have a myth, mystery, or galaxy you'd like us to explore, drop your ideas in the comments. We're always listening. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars and your mind open to the unknown.